Just to finish up on what David was saying, looking at the two pairs, euro dollar and euro yen, that's the technical picture for all the charts, and neither of them are looking terribly interesting at the moment. But I suppose if you wanted to say to come down on one or the other, the euro yen is going to move. What's going to shift the euro yen is certainly sentiment will help to shift the euro, that particular pair, possibly more so than the euro dollar. But again, you have to take all these other factors into consideration. And I just want to finish up here on the euro New Zealand, another euro pair, which has actually had a really nice move from this morning. So if we look at the 10-minute chart here, this is where we were. This is 2 hours behind the timestamp here because it's MetaQuote. So 8:20. This was 6:20. In fact, the move started from the volume point of control at 80.60. A nice move lower. Again, the volume, it's supportive. We just have to remember that this volume surge that we have here always happens when London opens. So it kind of squashes everything that's gone before, which is why you have to read it in conjunction relative to the session that you're trading. Then we had this sort of quite unexpected volatility candle that we had here, this sort of up candle. It was volatile, but look at the volume underneath it. Okay, even in comparing it to what had gone before, it wasn't really a lot, compared with the range of the candle. Plus, it triggered the volatility. So that was kind of, in of itself, telling us that the chances are it was some kind of fake or spoof move. We had an immediate retrace into the spread of the candle, and then we had these three very, very strong candles on. You had 1, 2, 3, or certainly 1, 2, 3 on rising volume. We had 1, 2, 3. Now we talked about potential reversal candles. Then we had another volatility. Sorry, that was a volatility candle, but it carried on low. Then we had this candle here with a wick to the bottom of the candle. Forget these candles here. It is volatile, and you could say, well, it is like a hammer, in as much that there was certainly a good degree of buying in there. Why? Because you have the wick to the bottom of the candle. It also reached a point of price-based support, which is the support line here, which is 179.56. It's the way support and resistance works on MT4 and 5. The lines are, if they're thicker lines like this, it means that they're stronger as opposed to the hatch lines. But what's also interesting is we had a volume-based support at 79.59. So there was an attempt to reverse based on the price action alone. If you didn't even read the volume underneath it, that alone, from a price-based perspective, it attempted to carry on lower, but buyers came in and pushed it back higher. You then had the same thing on this candle, and in fact, you can see here. Then you had this candle again, but slightly less buying support under this candle. Then you had these quite interesting candle here. You had a lot of volume under that candle, and you think, well, maybe that should be a little bit higher. Is this just a pause before you're going into a congestion phase? Maybe it's going to retest the lows, which is 79.56, and we just have to wait and see. But there's a lot of buying coming in here at the moment on the euro New Zealand, but it's also stuck between two important levels, in as much that the levels have been tested. It's been tested once, it's been tested twice, and sort of almost tested on this candle, certainly tested here at 79.97. So there's a bit of a battle going on in this range, if you like, and we have to wait and see whether all these candles put together with all this buying here is going to be sufficient to actually push it and deliver that reversal, which these initial candles are kind of promising, as it were. So that is on the 10-minute chart. So we look at the 30-minute chart, which we have here, and we can see that. We can see the dramatic fall lower again, a volatility. Again, this candle here, hammer in the center, but it's got quite a bit of a bigger body. For a proper hammer candle, you really want a small body and a really deep wick with lots and lots of volume underneath it. It kind of did come in. This has come in now, but again, it's stuck between these levels. So we just have to wait and see how this is going to play out. When you see hammer candles on the chart, you know, they are just a signal. And when we first started, what we call these principal candles, hammer candles, upthrust, 2-bar reversals, bearish engulfing, bullish engulfing, you get terribly excited. You think, oh, great, it's, you know, it's going to reverse. It is but you can't jump in too quickly. It is simply a potential. It's, you know, it's telling you what it is actually telling you is that if you're in the move, if you had taken that short, it's telling you it's probably time to get out, because if the one thing that price is going to do, it's going to pause. So if you're in a move and you see that, so everyone thinks of these candles as just entry candles, but they're not. You also should consider them as potential exit candles, because if you're in a move and you see a candle like that with a lot of volume underneath it, you know the move is going to come to a pause, and you think, do you know what, I'm done for now. If you've got multiple positions, maybe take some off, take some profit, maybe leave 1 or 2 on there and see what happens, and see if in fact the shall we call the principal trend that you were in, let's call this which we do in the program, this is our principal trend. This move lower, you know, it's not huge, but it's still a trend because it's a break away from the congestion phase, that principal trend. This is a sort of secondary in the sense that it's attempting to move higher, but it doesn't, despite all this buying that's coming under here, these 3 candles don't fill us with an awful lot of confidence, because they've got wicks to the tops of the candles. So there's a real battle royal going on here between the buyers and the bulls and the bears, if you like. And it looks like maybe the principal primary trend, which was this, is possibly going to resume, but we won't know until it resumes. It's got to break through this support level here, which is both volume-based support and price-based support. Now, going to our Renko chart, as I said before, this is the move lower. This is this basing. This is where we had the buying coming in. We can't see it on a Renko because Renko is just price-based, but the pivots tell us that it is a congestion phase. We've had a kind of change of color of trend dot, but we haven't had a move into bright blue that we had here. We had one here, didn't go very far, then it clicked back into bright red. But you notice here that might have gone bright blue, but we didn't get the equivalent bright blue on the trend dot. So at the moment, what the Renko is telling us, if you were using this to see whether you want to hold this this position, this is also telling you at the moment we've had an attempt to go higher, and we can see that on the time chart here, but we know why it's not going to go higher, because we've got candles with wicks to the tops of the candle saying that there's selling pressure, plus we have this relatively strong resistance level up here as well, because we have a solid line. So with this particular pair, it's a case of, if we've had multiple contracts, maybe you've taken some off, just let one run. For a re-entry, you know exactly what needs to happen. We need to have a clear break, either one way or the other. And a quick look at where we are in terms of the Camarilla to perhaps give us a clue where this is going to stop, if it's going to go lower. Well, certainly the S4 down here at 79.31 is a potential target for the pair moving lower. And this is the S3, which corresponds to that resistance that we can see here on this chart. And we know it's resistance with the selling. That's where it's got to break to move, to have a true reversal. And afterwards, where's it going? Well, the levels are very clearly marked before it goes back up to the S1 from where the move originally originated from. So that's looking at reversal candles, looking at what the volume is telling you, looking at support and resistance, looking at sentiment, having an eye on what is happening on the fundamental news. And by the way, there isn't let's have a look, there isn't a huge amount of fundamental. In fact, looking at sentiment, the S&P's come right off, as we can see. It's now going into red. And looking at fundamental news, it's a bit of a strange day today. We've had the unemployment data for the pound. We've got at 10 o'clock, we've got coming up, we've got the ZEW for Germany. We've got this meeting all day, G7, and we've got Fed Jay Powell testifying later. So it's no strong drivers, although this is quite an important release to watch out for if you are certainly trading any of the euro pairs. So that's the end of that. If you've got any more questions, no, very, very quickly. So I'm right about this this particular trade. I will do a write-up of it on my forex trading page, because it's a really interesting piece of price action, because it kind of brings together all the elements that we've sort of been talking about today. All that remains for me to say is to thank you so much for coming along. Very, very quickly, for those of you who not come across the indicators before, you can find details of the indicators at quantumtrading.com. As you can see, we've got them from TradingView, Ninja, and MetaTrader, and we're working on TradeStation at the moment. The education program is at quantumtradingeducation.com, if it loads in a second, and these are all the modules that form part of the program. There's about 200 videos there. I mean, David's got the breakdown, and it's a phenomenal amount of information that we have put together. It's really everything we believe you need to know to succeed long term in this market, because it is possible to make a living from this. And not only that, it's the information on here, it is the sort of skills and the information is, you can transfer it to other markets. The technical analysis module, it just happens to be forex, but you can use it on stocks, you can use it on any chart. The fundamental, yes, the news releases, we have tailored them to the forex market, but those fundamental releases also impact the broader economy, stocks and shares. The relational analysis, that brings all the markets together, and as David says, probably I think the most important module there, which is the psychology of trading, because we all have strengths and weaknesses. What you think may be a strength may not necessarily be suitable for trading. What you think is a weakness is actually what you should be looking to develop. But you really have to know yourself, know thyself, and then move on from there. So thank you so much for coming along. It's been great to have you with us. We are back on Thursday, and that's all I've got to say. If not, we will see you next Tuesday. If you've got any questions, you can email me, anna@annacooling.com, or you can email David, which is david@quantumtrading.com. So thank you again for coming along, and we will catch you next time. Take care.